Hey guys, welcome to another episode of A Cup of Positivity. We are now in March, which means a new theme of the month, and this month we're focusing on inspirational women. So our first inspirational woman of the month is Heather Van Cleave, speaker, spokeswoman, author, entrepreneur, and radio host. Heather tells me about her experiences with domestic abuse and being in multiple abusive relationships. She tells us about what she went through and the healing she had to do in order to move on from this, and now how she helps others who are going through the same or similar situations. Heather is also a mental health advocate who offers confidential consultations to anyone who might be struggling with their mental health. She also tells us about her most recent venture of becoming a pageant winner, and how she's using this as a platform to help as many women as she can who have suffered from the effects of being in an abusive relationship. I hope you enjoy listening to this episode, and please don't forget to like, share and comment if so, and see you soon. Hi Heather, welcome to A Cup of Positivity. How are you?
Hi Martha, I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, thank you. I have my cup of tea with me today, and I actually had some leftover Christmas teas that I found. So this one's
nice.
Yeah, this one's called Gingerbread Man. It's like a herbal tea. Did you bring yours?
I do. I have my English cup of tea with my Wedgwood china. I've got Earl Grey is one of my favorite ones that I love to drink. So I'm sipping on some Earl Grey today.
That is super British. I love it. Okay, so what we'll start with is an intro, I guess. So just tell us who you are for anyone who doesn't know you, and we'll just go from there.
Sure. My name is Heather Marie Van Cleave. I am Jane of all trades, master of none. Currently, I am Miss Richmond, Virginia. I just was given that crown, which I will go compete for Miss Virginia in May. And I do a lot of different things. Mostly, I am a spokeswoman and a motivational speaker that is a survivor of domestic violence. And I talk about the importance of mental health awareness. Single mom of 3 amazing teenagers, and business entrepreneur. I dabble in a lot of different things. So I just give a broad spectrum of business operations management.
Amazing. Well, our theme for March is actually inspirational women. So we're going to delve into your backstory and then what you're doing now. So if it's okay with you, can you tell us a bit about your backstory in terms of your experience with domestic violence?
Sure. I guess that goes all the way back to, because domestic violence is such a broad spectrum, and it includes child abuse. It includes relationships with a past or current partner. There's so many different things that go on. And I unfortunately experienced sexual abuse when I was younger from a family friend. And it ended up damaging, for lack of a better word, damaging my self-worth as a young child. I grew up spending actually my summers in England. My dad was an actor on the West End and toured with Jesus Christ Superstar and Les Mis. Wow. And so we would spend our summers out there. My stepmom's British, which is why she taught me about tea time and loving all things tea. But just really enjoyed being able to see different parts of the world when I was younger, but also experience trauma in the midst of it. So I learned very young how to survive and how to be tough and not show emotions. And it kind of molded me into a person that was lacking real confidence, but kind of portrayed fake confidence, if you will. Throughout life, I guess carrying that emotional intelligence is something I also speak about, because it's something of self-awareness of yourself. And I think when I was younger, especially up and through my years into becoming a woman, I still felt very damaged inside, and you attract what you feel that you are. So I constantly, I guess, was, and I don't blame it on myself, but I blame it on the lack of healing and not addressing it at a young age. I did go through counseling, but there was just a lot of trauma. I lost a boyfriend when I was in high school to an unfortunate murder. And there was just a lot of things that I experienced that caused me to kind of go into these modes of just waves of, I guess, depression. It runs in our family, and I'd have to pull myself out of it. And so fast forward, I also was unfortunately raped as a teenager. And so it caused me to then continue to have that sexual damaged feeling of sex was bad, and being intimate with someone was scary. And so I just definitely guarded myself. It caused me to get into some relationships that weren't healthy, just because you are drawn to what's familiar, and dysfunction, unfortunately, was something that was familiar to me. So it was normal whereas other relationships might have been healthier, but they weren't normal to me. So just married at a young age, was a mom of 3 in my 20s. So I hadn't even hit 30 yet, and had 3 children. I had experienced domestic abuse with my children's father, and it just kind of spiraled through, going through just one bad relationship after the next, and kept going to counseling to get healing, but never really tapped into the self-awareness part of what is it in me that's damaged, that's causing me to settle for less than I deserve, to forget my worth, to ignore red flags. There were so many different things that I was not taking responsibility for myself. And again, there's no excuse for anybody being abusive to you, verbally, emotionally, physically, any of that stuff. But you have to come to a point in your life where you accept the part that you're responsible for. And I think I skipped that part. Every time I'd get out of a relationship, I just still had this void of wanting to feel loved and nurtured by man. And I was forgetting the part that I needed to be healed so that I could attract the right one.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that's kind of where I was. I say as a joke, I've been married multiple times. I fit into Hollywood standards, have gone through a couple of divorces, but still way less than Elizabeth Taylor. So it's just one of those things, unfortunately, that's in my background. And I just say, I never want to get married again. Obviously would love to have a lifelong partner in life to experience life with, but it's just been one of those unfortunate things that I never had before.
Yeah. And so the relationship that you were in before, is it multiple relationships that you've been in, or is it just the one that was an abusive relationship?
The girl's father was an abusive relationship. He was military, definitely had some mental illness going on and didn't have that taken care of. When people go into the military and already having an illness that is mental, and they're not addressing it, and then you go out there and you're in the war zone and things like that, it affects it. And part of my platform is to talk about mental health awareness for our military so that they can get help and not struggle with depression and anxiety, but also not hurt those around them, because you have too often either suicides in the military or military personnel that have taken their families' lives and then their life. So I try to avoid not talking about that with our military. But no, he was an abusive marriage. I had another abusive marriage after that, and then I had another abusive marriage just recently in 2019 is when I was assaulted. That was the last time I had sworn off not getting married ever again. And it was a situation where I fell for someone that said all the right things and did all the right things. And then unfortunately, 18 months in, realized somebody's got a big issue that I did not even see, and probably ignored red flags with that one as well. But unfortunately ended up being strangled and almost killed in April of 2019, trying to dismantle a suicidal attempt of his. And going in as a suicide awareness person, you go in and you try to remove whatever's they're trying to harm themselves with. And when I went in to go remove the pills and alcohol, I ended up getting thrown around the room. And so he unfortunately lost his mind, went into a fit of rage, and I ended up pinned on the ground, being strangled, and my life was being taken from me. But out of that moment, it was a moment of, this is it. You know, I've gotten myself into another situation where someone is abusive and I'm going to end up dying. What have I done with myself? What have I done with my life? And, this is 11 years that I've been talking about domestic violence and mental health awareness, but I didn't realize I got right back into another one. They say that you don't really know someone until about 18 months into a relationship, because people give their best side in the beginning, obviously.
Yeah.
But it takes a while for you to really know all of the skeletons in the closet from people. Sometimes ourselves included, we hide things that we're either ashamed of or that we don't want to reveal because of safety or whatever. And so it was something, unfortunately, that I never expected to happen. This wasn't somebody that was abusive to me before this moment, but he literally lost his mind. And it was by the grace of God and by my guardian angel, who was my daughter at the time, who came in and was able to call the police and get him off of me. And it was just a huge fiasco. But I knew at that moment, something had to give. It had to stop. This was a pattern that I kept getting into. And I had to figure out what it was in me that was attracting these men to me, and that I was ignoring these red flags. Why did I forget my worth? So, it's unfortunately been multiple times. And you'll find that in relationships with women that have been in a domestic abusive relationship or have been sexually assaulted, they will get into that pattern because it's familiar.
But then how do you get out of that relationship once you're like deep in it? What has to happen for you to be able to do that?
It has to come to a breaking point because victims of abuse will go back to their abuser up to 7 times, even 10 times sometimes. And it says that the statistics are that 6 women die every hour from domestic abuse. And so it's hard because I know I'm an empathetic person. I'm loyal to a fault. Even the day I got strangled, when the police came to arrest my husband at the time, I was still trying to get him help. I was asking them to bring him to a hospital because I knew something was wrong. And the officer actually looked at me and said, "Ma'am, have you seen yourself yet?" And I said, "No." And he said, "I want you to go into the bathroom." And I was bruised and red all over my neck. My necklace had been ripped off. I mean, I looked like a hot mess. And here I am still trying to save somebody. So it gets to a point where, you have to really realize that you can't save anyone. That person has to make the choice for themselves, that they realize they have an issue. No matter how much of a good influence you are, you're not going to be able to change someone. They have to want to change. And so you have to separate yourself and value yourself and your life more than that other person, and you have to be tired of going through insanity. Like I literally was going through the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And so I had to just say enough. So it's a personal thing for the person that is the abuser. They have to want to get help. And it's also for the victim or the person that survived it, that they have to finally get tired of the insanity to want to get out of that as well. So it's a twofold thing.
But how has it affected your children if you've had children like in these relationships?
So unfortunately, it's caused us all to be jaded and feel like all men are either cheaters or abusers. And I know that's not the truth. There are good men out there, but it's caused, because we never saw this coming. I tell people these men that abused me didn't come in and say, "I'm going to cheat on you, I'm going to abuse you, I'm going to hurt you." They come in like a knight in shining armor. And a lot of them, unfortunately, are narcissistic or sociopaths. And they come in with these wonderful suave attempts. And, none of us saw it come. My family didn't see this last one coming at all. All of us were completely caught off guard. We all thought, finally, I've met a good man. And it was not at all the case at all. So going through it, it's, I'm very honest and open with my kids. We talk about things very openly. We talk about mental health. We do that not to shame people that have mental illness, but to talk about our own self-awareness, to make sure that they don't repeat the same patterns I've gone through, and to make sure that they're in a place of emotional intelligence to know how they're feeling as well. So, I talk to them about it. I encourage them. I try to tell them, where I made my mistakes so that I'm owning what I've done. And that way they don't feel like they've got too much pride if they go into a situation in life in adulting with whatever learning experiences they have. They can be humble enough to acknowledge where they've maybe messed up and figure out where they need to either fix or correct something themselves or get the help to correct it. Yeah. So, it's been a learning process. We've all gone through the jaded relationship commitment issues now. But, we're honest with each other. We talk about each other in our relationships, and we communicate. So that's the biggest thing that you have to have in a family when you've gone through trauma is communication. Yeah.
Looking back now, then, what would you say were the red flags that maybe you ignored at the beginning?
It's embarrassing to look back at red flags because you look back, and I look back at, for example, my ex-husband. I had caught him cheating when we were dating. That should have been a big red flag. But I, again, made an excuse that he had been single for several years. Maybe he wasn't used to being in a committed relationship.
Right.
So I ignored it. There were also mood swings. There were waves. And, I thought I could help him and be a good influence. And so I thought, well, maybe I can help stabilize that. Well, I am not a doctor. I'm not medicine. I'm not something that can help change someone. So those things I had to look back and go, okay, you got to see the red flags for what they are. People will show you who they are. You have to believe them. Famous quote. So that's definitely something I look back and go, all of these people probably showed some sort of sign and I just ignored it. So paid close attention.
Yeah. And then, but do you feel that when you were going through it, you had people that you might have spoken to about these things and they would have said, "Oh, that's a bit strange," or "that behavior is a bit strange," or is it just something you just completely pass by?
It's different with each one. So the girl's father, when I was with him, I would go to my parents' house and they saw bruises on me. They definitely saw red flags and they were like, "Heather, you need to get out of this." But I wanted, no one wants to get married and divorced. You want to have a happily ever after. You want to stay committed to someone. And to me, when I make vows, it's for better, for worse. And so I kept trying to go to counseling with him. I kept trying to read these books that would help. And, oftentimes when you're in an abusive relationship, they will say that it's your fault. And so I went through a lot of self-shame myself, going, what am I doing that's triggering him? I didn't want to be the person that was triggering anything of someone else. But in reality, you look back and there's nothing that anyone should do that could provoke anyone to harm them physically, abusively. It's not ever allowed. It shouldn't ever be. But you'll get into those stigmas as well with people that have been in domestic abuse. And most of the women will say they blamed it on me. They said I provoked them. I was doing something to irritate them. It's just unfortunately what happens in abusive relationships.
Yeah. And so what made you come out with your story and share your experiences now with everyone else?
Well, I had come out in 2009 when I had left the girl's dad and talked about it back then. That's when I first had my platform and was sharing. I went to Romania and talked about it over there. And I thought, here I am. I've survived this. It took 2 years to get him to sign divorce papers. He did not want to release me or let me go. Because of the abuse, I was given full sole legal custody of my kids. So I've raised them by myself. But here again, I thought I was healed. I thought I was good. And was speaking, doing motivational speaking. There were pauses in between there because I definitely was not as confident about myself or knowing my worth as I am now back then. But, public speaking, motivational speaking, mental health awareness has been a platform of mine for 11, 12 years. Yeah. So it's been something I've done. And even with my most recent ex, I got up and spoke about domestic abuse. He was never verbally abusive. He cheated, he lied, but he didn't abuse me. So when I was going and speaking at churches and women's groups, he was there cheering me on in the background. Wow. So when he lost his mind and literally flipped on me, that was something so unexpected, which caused me to get PTSD because it was so out of the blue. Like I really honestly never thought this man would ever hurt me that way. Cheating, lying, yes, but physically, no, I never saw that. Yeah. So you never can tell. People, I think I've said this before, no one is all good or all bad. No one's all evil or all angelic. We all have choices to be either good people or bad people. And it's up to us to make that choice. And I mean, I could be a horrible person if I wanted to be, but I want to leave a legacy. I want to make a difference in the world. I want to do things that, as humbling as it is to say, I was an idiot and, just ignored red flags so many times with men. I have to be humble enough to say, hey, people from the outside see me and think I've got it all together, but I've made my mistakes too. I didn't deserve to be abused, but I should have known my worth. I should have paid attention to the red flags. I should have believed these people when they showed little signs. And I didn't. And I shouldn't have settled for less than I deserved. And that's the biggest thing I try to tell women and men is don't ever settle just because you're lonely or that you want to feel loved. Wait for the right person and you'll know the difference between real love and someone that's just wanting to use you or abuse you.
Yeah. So what steps have you taken in terms of healing as well? I know you mentioned counseling, but is there anything specifically that you've done since then?
Yes, I went through some counseling. I also went through not dating anyone for a very long time. It was over a year before I started dating again and just took time to really love myself. And that's a learning process. People will say, oh, well, you're conceited if you love yourself. No, it's the first thing that you need to do is love yourself first. Treat yourself like the person that you want to be treated by someone else. And then you set your standards high. I also had to do a lot of self-reflection. I had to literally write down every single person that's ever hurt me from the time I was little so that I could acknowledge it, acknowledge the pain, acknowledge what happened, and then release it because we have to get it out of our inside, whether it's in our thoughts, our minds, our emotions, or feelings. If we bottle it up inside, we'll keep them in there. Those will be our skeletons in our closet until we're old and gray. It has to come out. Our bodies have to be able to release that. So a lot of self-awareness, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of education, because I was really confused at especially this last marriage that I had with domestic abuse and mental illness. I did not realize that they often coincide, but they're two totally different things. But oftentimes people that will abuse someone else are struggling with their mental health on the inside. So this whole time I was talking about two separate things, they often partner together. And so I did a lot more research. I took a lot more classes. I got more education to really know what I was talking about even more than I did before. And wisdom is power. So to me, that was helping me to be able to gain more knowledge. It was also helping me to heal because I understood it. Women, sometimes it has to make sense. And so I had to figure out, why is this not connecting? And when I finally was able to get the education and understand it, then and I was like, oh, that's what it is. So, that was part of the healing too. And sharing my story. When you share your story with other people, it helps you heal. When you're helping other people, I did a lot of volunteering. It helped me to get my mind off of myself, not in a negative way because I was doing self-care, but I was helping other people to not feel depressed or feel like a victim. It was being able to overcome and be a survivor instead of a victim.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who maybe is in an abusive relationship at the moment and just doesn't know what to do or where to turn, like who to turn to?
It's really scary, but when you're able to just take the time to really sit first thing in the morning and have quiet time with yourself and ask, am I happy? Am I being treated well? Is this something that can be fixable? All of those questions you have to be able to write on a list. And I tell people, you've got 2 columns, write down all the things that are working and write down all the things that are not working. What are the things that are not working you have control over? And what are the things you don't? And figure out, the process of elimination. What needs to happen? Do you have the ability to change it yourself? And if not, who can you trust that you really, truly can call a confidant to say, hey, I'm in trouble. I need help. To me, especially back in 2008, it was my sister. I needed to be able to leave. I knew that if I stayed, that it would get worse or I would end up dead and my kids wouldn't have any, mom to raise them. Yeah. So I reached out to my sister and went into hiding while I filed for divorce. Okay. They already knew that I was going through abuse because of the bruises and the scars on me, but find someone that's safe. And then really, truly, you have to find someone that you can talk to and get it all out so that you can get the affirmation you need and the support you need. There are shelters out there. There are counselors out there, but you have to vet them. You have to see who is good for you and really shop for the right person that can help you get through the healing.
So from all of your experiences, what is it that you're doing now and how are you helping? I know you said you're a mental health advocate, but what is it you're doing? How are you helping people? And you're consulting as well. People work with you one-to-one as well, don't they?
Yeah, a lot of times people don't want to go to a therapist or counselor because they feel like they're either going to get medicated and they don't really want to get to that point yet, or they feel like maybe the counselor isn't going to be able to relate to them because they haven't gone through the same situation. So I offer mental health consultations with people that's completely confidential. It's non-disclosure agreements are out there. Yeah. I've spoken to big CEOs. I've spoken to celebrities that just need to vent. And sometimes it's all they need is to just get it out there and have somebody that understands it, that's not going to judge them. That's really just going to show them love and say, I get it. I'm sorry that you went through this, but just let it out. I tell people I'm not a licensed therapist. I did not go to school for that. I went to school for business management and business operations, but I can be a listening ear and I can be somebody that truly can empathize what they've gone through. I do the motivational speaking. I go speak at businesses, talking about mental health awareness and how important it is. I've also spoke to churches of people that just need to be able to hear that there are people that have struggled in real life that you would not know their story. I typically, unless someone knows me, when I get asked to speak somewhere, they know my story. But when I go speak to a large group, the rest of those people don't know my story. So they're looking at this outward package of, okay, this is a spokeswoman. She's a model. She's done all these things. What has she got to give us? And so if I can capture someone's attention by my looks, then I want to give them some substance and say, it's not just about a pretty package. This is about shining from the inside out, because here's what I really went through in life. And this is why I'm able to stand up here confidently, because I've overcome so much hell that, I've gone through that I'm able to use for good and say, this isn't where my story ended. I'm still writing my story and I'm still going forward and I'm still experiencing different new things and trying new things, but still willing to love and still willing to give love a chance and to give life a chance and experience to the fullest. So I can live my best life, but I want other people to live their best life too. It's not just about my story. It's about encouraging others, helping others to shine and helping them to really feel balanced in their mind, body, and soul.
Yeah. And then I also saw on your Instagram that you are Miss Richmond. Is that right?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's something I've never done before. I've never been a pageant girl. I have admitted that I probably judged pageant girls before because it's like they portray this perfect shell. And this pageant is very different. It's they just made a new category for women who are either divorced, widowed, or single parents. And they had asked me for, I had some friends in the pageantry that had asked me probably for the last 2 years, you really should do this. You really should get in this. And I was like, no way, I will never do a pageant. But it was just something, I'm definitely a woman of faith. And so I prayed about it. And I'm like, is this something that could help my platform, my message? Is this something that could make it more beneficial for people? And I really, truly felt like it could, because it's giving me a larger voice, a larger platform to share with other women who've gone through some struggles. Maybe they've lost a husband, maybe they've been divorced, maybe they have gone through domestic abuse, and to say to them, I've been there too, and this is a platform I've been given, and I'm literally wearing a crown, but I want to help other women to wear a crown as well, and to really walk in confidence, to empower them and to show them that they're worthy of being able to do something that maybe you thought you weren't perfect enough to do it. It's not about perfection, it's about purpose. And so my purpose is to be able to help other people.
Yeah, because we don't really have pageants over here. What is it like to, no, we don't really have that here. Yeah, so what is it like to compete? Like, what do you have to do? And
this is my first time, so I'm trying to show people as I go. I know that the competition for Miss Virginia, so it goes from your local crowning to your state crowning to the United States, throughout the whole United States. And then there's also a universe one. So there's many different tiers and levels. This particular pageant has taken out the talent portion. So it's more about what your platform is, your answers to your question. It is a judge panel, so it's not voted on. It's the judges will rate you on your answers and what you're doing and basically in life. So I like that it's not about just, let me sing a song, and if I've got a good voice, I'm going to win this pageant. It's not about that. It's really, truly, what are you doing to help empower other people? What are you doing to help be a voice to make a difference in the world? I want to leave a legacy. And if this is part of my legacy, to be able to say I walked in a pageant and was disciplined enough to, I will say this, I do have to walk across stage in a bathing suit. So you do have to make sure you've got a good diet and a good exercise regimen. So I'm working hard in the gym every morning, making sure I'm ready for that pageant in May.
Yeah. Every time I think of pageants, I think of Miss Congeniality.
That is how I feel right now, because that movie was hilarious and she didn't have any kind of pageantry. I've done modeling, I've done acting, I've never done a pageant. So this is totally new territory, but I'm excited. It's something new. And, that's another thing to encourage people. Try things that are new. You never know if you're going to be good at it until you try.
Yeah. Do you have to have like special skills as well? Do you have to show off special skills?
I think that's the part where they took out the talent thing. So you don't have to sing, you don't have to dance, you don't have to do any of that stuff. It's really, truly, what are you doing to make a difference in the world? What platform are you using to, whether it's speaking for diabetes, whether it's speaking for domestic abuse. Some of the women speak about postpartum depression. There's different platforms that are out there that are, either stigmas or issues that are in the world that really need to have a voice. And so mine is domestic abuse, domestic violence awareness, and mental health awareness.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And then when you do get crowned, do you have like certain responsibilities or events that you have to go to? And also, do they give you any like funding for whatever it is that you're supporting?
So a lot of it is sponsorship funded. So I go to different businesses and ask them to help support my mission. But once you get crowned, I guess, to the next state level, then you go to a Miss United States pageant. They do pay for your trip out there. They give you, I think, a bathing suit and a gown to be able to wear, but you are responsible for that year when you're crowned to be able to go out there, make a difference in your community, go help volunteer, do humanitarian efforts and things like that, so that it's not just wearing a crown and a sash, that you're representing an organization that's making a difference in their community.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I also saw on your Instagram as well, your Valentine's post. So do you have a new partner now? And what's he like?
I do. This has been a new venture. This has been somebody I've known through social media for many years. And we've actually had cheered each other on when we had gone through different triumphs in life. Somebody that had gone to the same church as I did for many years. We never met in person. We'd gone to the same gym. We never met there. And just happened to be one time in January, messaged me. He's like, I think we need to meet.
Yeah.
And so we met at the gym on a random Sunday, and instantly there were sparks there. We had definitely a connection on mind, body, and soul. It was like not just an attraction. There was definitely more intrigue on who we each were, to know each other on a different level. He is South African, so he's not your typical American playboy, which is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been nice to be able to spend about a month. So we've been spending time together. We've known each other well longer than that, but it's been about a month of us spending time together, going to the gym together, going and experiencing Valentine's and wineries and, new love, if you will.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. So what is your vision for the future? What do you want to accomplish?
I want to be able to, like I said, I want to leave a legacy. I want to be a good example for my kids, first and foremost, as their mom. I want them to be proud of who I am and want to help people. I really want to be able to help make an impact in this world so that we can remove the stigmas on mental illness, show people that it's really more common than they realize, and remove the abuse that's going on, to talk about it more. When we don't talk about things that are issues, they thrive in the darkness. And so to me, I want to be the light, to be able to talk about it, to share about it, to encourage other people to share their stories. I have people that reach out to me at all hours of the day and night, whether they are family members of people that have mental illness or domestic abuse, or they're the person that's struggling with it. And so it gives me, it really makes my heart smile when people are feeling safe enough to be able to reach out to ask me for either a referral or advice or anything. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So for this year, gosh, Martha, I'll tell you that everything has been one surprise after the next, and we're only in February. We haven't even gotten to March yet. So I don't know what this year holds, but I hope it holds some amazing things, not just for me, but for me to be able to help impact other people's lives. Yeah.
And what about your radio show? What is it specific? Like, is there a specific topic with that, or what is that about?
I'm getting ready to go to the radio station now. It's just called Heather Marie Speaks Talk Show. And it's exactly what it is, about talking about mental health awareness with a little bit of fashion infused. I'm very involved in RVA Fashion Week as their spokesperson here in Richmond, Virginia. Around the world, there is a fashion week, whether you're in New York, Virginia, California, Paris, all around the world, people are talking about fashion. And so since actually when I was little and would travel to England, I saw different fashion out there that was so different than here in the States. And it allowed me to experiment on what I liked and what kind of things I really enjoyed to wear and to express myself. And funny enough, I was actually a tomboy when I was younger. So it was a different kind of fashion. It was more probably sporty spice as opposed to Victoria Beckham now. But it's just kind of one of those, I definitely was a different type of girl when I was younger to where I am a woman now in fashion. So I try to give a little bit of fashion infused. It makes it easier to talk about mental health. It makes it easier to talk about domestic abuse. It makes me more approachable so that people can see that I'm into fashion. And I talk about just the different stuff that's going on with Fashion Week as well on the radio show, as well as what's going on in the area. I do community spotlights to help spotlight other people's businesses, talk about where I've gone, where, new restaurants or new things that are happening in the city. And then I always give what I call a nugget of wealth and information on mental health to encourage people for the week. So that's every Thursday at 2:00.
Amazing. And what's the best way for people to contact you if they want to contact you after this podcast?
Yeah, it's through social media. I'm on Heather Marie Speaks on Instagram. That's how you and I met. And on Facebook, it's the Heather Marie Speaks page. And then on the website is heathermariespeaks.com. And I tell people Speaks is not my last name. It's just what I do.
Yeah, I saw that on your website. And then I always ask my guests as well, if my listeners or people watching could take one golden nugget from this episode, what would you want it to be?
Life is never going to be perfect, and you're going to go through ups and downs, but learn from every single situation you go through. Try to step back and really say, what can this teach me? Because in life, if you don't learn the lesson, it will continue to be taught to you until you get it. So embrace it, have some humility to be able to accept the things that maybe you haven't done so well and learn from it. So, life is about lessons. We have to learn them in order to grow.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that as well. Because, you are going to make mistakes, but let's just try and learn from them instead of regretting them.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. It's been amazing having you on.
Thank you. This has been great. And I love that it's, you're in the UK and I'm here in the States because, like I said, this is my favorite childhood place to be is in England. So you're in my special place over there.
Oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much. And have fun on your radio show this afternoon.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to be on your show. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'll look forward to seeing what else you have going on.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Oh yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications on new episodes every Wednesday.